Hi, welcome to the Macabre Emporium.
Let me get my emotional support cat.
Okay.
To be quiet and keep the kids quiet, since he was getting anxiety and he didn't want to kill children.
Gertrude's daughter even got to join in on what they considered fun.
Tell us about the giant turtle.
Alan never showed up, nor was he ever heard from again beyond that point. Hello? Welcome
Hello?
back. This is episode 26. Just kidding. Welcome back. This is episode 26 of Macabre Emporium.
And this is your first time joining us because you're some wackadoodle that starts somewhere at the very beginning of new episodes. Welcome.
Welcome, Wackadoodle.
Or maybe in the future, right in the middle of the pack.
Ugh, still Wackadoodle.
Anyhow. But anyway, so
Yeah,
nothing new.
nothing.
We haven't done anything exciting, so we're just going to get on into it.
Yay.
What do you have for us this week?
I have a origin story.
No, you don't. Because you already told me you don't have that.
You told me last week to throw him off, so I tried. You fucking foiled it.
I was meaning to actually do it for real.
Oh, well, nope. I have true crime. What do you have?
I have some history for you, and I'm continuing on with my military stuff, like I said last week about for the month of May.
For the March of May.
Yeah, military March, anyhow.
Yeah.
So this week, I'm going to give a small history of ship cats.
Ship cats.
Ship cats, and give you some examples of some notable ship cats as well.
Oh. That sounds perfect.
I see what you did there.
Yep.
Or do you mean, that sounds perfect?
It's either way. It's
you
either
did
way.
better than me.
Yeah. Yep. So my story this week is not going to be long like they usually are. I wasn't feeling very motivated with the list of cases that I want to cover. Like nothing popped out at me as like, I'm going to do this one. So I just did a Google search and found something that's very recent, but I happened to kind of thoroughly enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And mine kind of was supposed to be about animals in the military, but this turned into ship cats in general. It was going to be like cats all the way through, but there's too much cat-related stuff, like the spy cat that was created and then that like was killed almost immediately after it was released on its first mission, but that's a story for another day. And there's just way too many bonker-ass things that animals have been used for, anywhere from espionage or as a weapon of war for the most part.
Messenger pigeons?
Kinda. I
mean, that's
bat
weird.
bombs.
Bat bombs?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Never heard of any of those. So you're definitely going to have to do the bat one.
Well, I'll probably do some more animal stuff for this month as well, too.
Okay.
But for next week, I'll actually be kind of skipping that whole military theme I've been doing this month because the episode on the 17th actually is released the day before the anniversary of a dark tourist spot that we've actually been to.
Oh, yes. That's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a really good one. So if you're listening to this one, I suggest you listen to next week's as well.
I know it's kind of probably been overdone at this point, but since we've actually visited that spot, I wanted to do it. So
yeah.
So anyway, you ready to get started?
Sure am. Are you ready to get started?
Yep.
Well, you ready to listen first?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to, just tiny little introduction. So I said just a minute ago that this is like just a random case I found off of Google and that it's recent. And by recent, I mean like mid-March is what this happened.
Okay.
There's some history that goes along with it. So it didn't start and happen in March, but it ended in March. To me, this is a great story of a father's love for his daughter and the lengths he would go to keep her safe.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are probably going to come at me because I'm like, this is a great fucking story. And I stand by the fact that I think it is. Okay. So on March 8th of this year, 27-year-old Levi Axtell did what most people who have committed a crime would never do. He walked into his local police station, confessed to committing murder, and turned himself in.
Okay.
So, little backstory. In 2014, there was a man named Lawrence Scully that had run for mayor of his hometown in Minnesota. He didn't win due to him sexually assaulting a 6-year-old girl in 1979.
Oh, that's a good reason to not be elected.
I mean, with the dude being a convicted pedophile, I don't see why he didn't win.
No, not at all. I don't even know why he thought it would be a good idea to even try and run for public office.
I don't know. Maybe he thought enough time had passed and people would be like, oh, it was a long time ago.
No.
Not so much.
No, that's not how it fucking works.
Nah. Anyways, enter Levi Axtell. Him and Scully had numerous run-ins and not one of them were good in nature. Not one. It came to a head in 2018 when Levi got a protection order on behalf of his daughter, who was 22 months at the time. He got it against Scully because he felt that he was stalking and trying to groom his daughter. Didn't go into detail about how he thought he was trying to groom her, but he went in, there were details that came out about the stalking portion of it. In a letter written to gain the protective order, Levi wrote, he has been there many times stalking children in his van. He's a convicted pedophile, and him stalking and attempting to groom my daughter is completely inappropriate and needs to stop. He stated how Scully would just watch the kids when they were out on recess, that he would follow them, if they were going out on a walk with, the daycare staff, that he'd, follow them at a distance, creeping up on them. Courts wound up granting the protective order, but it went away, it was dissolved in just a few weeks. According to court records, Scully had been committed to a mental institution in 2020, but was released and given prescription medication in the form of antipsychotics. Didn't say what it was. I wish it had. 2 of Scully's brothers have since come out after the bit that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. They came out and stated that their brother and their childhood was shit, basically. They stated how their parents were sexually, mentally, and physically abusive towards them, how Scully touched one of the brothers' penises while they were in the shower, and how he believed that this was the cause of him starting to wet the bed, in later adolescence, kind of as a defense mechanism to keep his brother from coming in and trying to do anything further than what he had already done.
Right.
They stated, both of the brothers stated that Scully had gotten his 13-year-old sister pregnant. And they remember being really little and having to sit in the abortions clinic, waiting on their sister to come out of the room. Yeah. So he was really fucked up.
Clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. Also in 2020, Levi, the dad of the little girl, started making posts on social media stating his distaste for people like Scully. So people that, sexually abuse little kids. He had memes on his Facebook of a guy holding a gun and the caption read, "Only cure for pedophiles, a bullet."
Right.
Not wrong. He would also add his thoughts into the comments saying, "People always ask me why I hate pedophiles. They assume I've been abused, but really I think being protective is just an Axtell trait." So his family must be protective like that. So on March 8th of this year, Levi had hit his limit with Scully. He had happened to drive past his daughter's daycare and saw Scully's van sitting out there, right?
Yeah.
So he went home, got drunk, legitimately drunk, and then took off towards Scully's home. He grabbed his keys, got in his van, headed over to where Scully lived, and a 911 call came through from a neighbor that stated that she saw someone drive a minivan and pull into Scully's driveway, that they jumped out, ran right into the house, no knocking, no nothing. And it was not a forced entry because it was unlocked, but you could tell he went in there forcefully.
Right.
Soon after, the caller said that they heard screaming coming from the house and saw the driver of the van return to his vehicle and then speed off. The caller stated that he was headed towards the Cook County Sheriff's Office, which was just 3 blocks straight down that road. Police confirmed that Levi had arrived at the sheriff's office just minutes after the 911 call had been placed, They said he was intoxicated and covered in blood. Officers on duty at the time said after they saw him, he dropped to his knees, put both hands behind his head, and openly admitted to killing Scully. He then demanded to be handcuffed and said he may hurt someone else otherwise. When he was taken in for questioning, he told police everything that happened, including the murder weapon or weapons in this case. Levi stated that he had seen Scully parked, near where the children were, and he was afraid that Scully was going to reoffend. So he just happened to take matters into his own hands to prevent it.
Right.
Levi had told authorities how he had gone to 77-year-old Scully's house around 4:45 that afternoon, grabbed a spade-style shovel off of Scully's front porch, and used that to bash Scully in the head 15 to 20 times. And then stated how he finished him off by using a moose antler that was decorative and hanging in Scully's living room to inflict several more blows.
And I'm sure that was probably worse than the fucking shovel itself.
Oh my God. Have you ever seen just a single moose antler?
Yeah.
Like how large they are?
Right. Yeah.
Like, Jesus. Like,
I've seen the elk shed at the one place we go get our meat at from every once in a while in their main lobby when we first walk in.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about
I can
that.
only imagine how much larger their moose actually is compared to that.
I was like, of all the things to, like, be hit with, you get hit with a fucking moose antler. Like, to add insult to injury, because he definitely needed both. Anyways, when officers went to Scully's house to investigate, they said he was obviously dead from the serious nature of his head wounds. No shit. The autopsy report stated that he had died from blunt force head injuries and that his corpse displayed arm wounds that were consistent with defensive wounds. So he tried to save himself. The reporting sheriff told Fox News Digital that his murder was quite a shocker in the community. It was a small town of just over 1,000 residents. So that has to be a really small town.
Right.
How many residents are in this town?
Gosh, and where we're at, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if you think about it, because if anybody really wanted to know where the fuck we're at, they can just look at our profiles.
True that.
34,000 people.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So it's very tiny town. And they say nothing like that had ever happened in their town before. That's what they always say, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. 'Cause, I mean, what was it? The Oakland County child killers, they're like, oh, there hasn't been a kidnapping here in 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit.
Yeah. Levi was charged with second-degree murder, booked into jail, and had his bail set at $1 million and a court date of April 10th. Court attorney said that this attack was brutal and unprovoked butchery, basically, of an elderly man. I happen to say that's just justice, but
yeah,
who am I?
People agree with that, but
I don't know. I think that I would see that dad as a hero. Like,
yeah, it's another case of being of Jason Vukovich. You would probably know him better as
the Alaskan Avenger.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you knew him by
Sure
actual
did.
name.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just when I read it, I was like, okay, I can work with this, even though it's just very tiny.
Right.
Just that instant gratification from hearing about this, like, pedophile to, like, he was bludgeoned to death with a fucking moose antler.
Right.
It's not really something you hear, the moose antler part.
Right.
Unfortunately.
No, if it would have been Jason Vukovich, they would have used the moose antler. Like, typical Alaskan shit.
Right. Well, this is Minnesota, so.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's close enough, eh?
Oh my God. Yup. Oh yeah. Anyways, that's my story. And I did look to see, because it did say that he had a court date of April 10th, but I was not able to find any information past him being arrested. So maybe they had to change the court date, or it just wasn't public knowledge of what happened. But hopefully in a future episode I can give an update on what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That kind of also reminded me of some reason. It reminded me of the guy that killed the priest at molested him as a child and shoving
Oh,
a
yeah.
crucifix down his throat. But I don't know if that one's actually true or not, just because it seems so out there. But be curious if it did.
I don't know. Oh, and to add, I did say she was 22 months old in 2018. So she's like closer to like 5 years old now.
Yeah.
Which would make sense if he is still creeping around her and where she goes to daycare or school or whatever it was. Yeah. So she's a little older now. So she wasn't 22 months when he went after this old dude.
Right. I know. Like, even though it's still terrible no matter the age, but
Yeah.
it's just like, even that young, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't matter the age, but the younger they get, it's like, why?
Yeah.
But anyhow, before we get on a huge rant with that,
Yes. Because I definitely can.
I know. But you already hear about ship cats and end this episode on a more fun and positive than some dark shit.
I mean, yeah, but death by moose antler was pretty vindicating.
Right.
Anyways, but yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now all I can imagine is how Jason Vukovic would have used the moose antler instead of a fucking hammer like he did.
Yeah.
You
You know, honestly, out of all the podcasts that I've listened to, I have never heard an episode on him. Not once.
if one show I listened to, I think has done an episode on him.
Just one show, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't been talked about, because he's fucking phenomenal, too.
Right. I don't know. Did you know he has his own podcast?
No?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, he's got one.
Well, okay. Now I'm going to have something new to listen to.
I'll have to find it for you because I don't remember where it's at exactly.
Whenever I get time to listen to fucking anything anymore.
Right. So,
Yeah.
ship cats.
Ship cats!
Okay. For centuries, humans and animals have served side by side in conflicts. Cats, dogs, horses, elephants, and even rats have been used for logistics all the way to espionage. If it has 4 legs, or maybe wings, it's been used for the militaries around the world in some capacity. But for this episode, I'm focusing on what people have joked is God's perfect killing machine, but are always angry because we just want to cuddle them. And that what I'm talking about is cats.
Kitty cats!
Today, we really don't think of cats as a tool for controlling rodents as much as they used to for this in earlier times.
Not ours, anyways, lazy
No.
fuckers.
No, because, I mean, the one with no claws, no teeth is the only real mouser out of the 3 we got. But then again, we never see him anymore.
But she likes to play with them.
True.
Lugosi likes to bring him into bed.
And that's, unless, it's Salem chasing the specters that float around
True
through the
that.
shells on the here in the Emporium. But as far back as the ancient Egyptians would depict cats hunting from boats sailing the Nile River in their tombs. Even though cats would be used more as a weapon than a tool to keep away rats in 525 BCE during the Battle of Pelusium. The Battle of Pelusium happened due to Pharaoh Amasis II refused to send one of his daughters to marry the Persian king Cambyses II after he asked for one of his daughters as a wife. Not wanting to comply with Cambyses' wishes, he sent a daughter of his predecessor, Psamatech III, instead. This woman was insulted by this move, and when she arrived in the court, Cambyses II, she revealed her true identity. Taking this as an insult from the pharaoh, he mobilized his troops for war. Even though Amasis II would die before this war would actually take place in the reign of Pharaoh Psamatech III, within the first 6 months of him taking the throne. Cambyses II would order his troops to paint Bastet, the Egyptian goddess of protection, pleasure, and good health, on their shields, and my best guess is why he gave this order is to keep the Egyptians from shooting arrows at the Persians, as this could be showing us disrespect to Bastet if they fired arrows at her. With Bastet painted on their shields, the Persians would also release cats and other animals the Egyptians held dear to them on their battlefield.
Okay.
So with cats, sheep, horses, and there's one other animal I forgot to write down in here that Egyptians hold very in high regard as almost as deities. They released them before the troops is what they are doing.
Okay.
The Egyptians viewed cats as the physical embodiment of Bastet, and one way to anger her was to kill one of her cats. It was against the law to kill cats, and this was punishable by death. That's how much
damn.
they kept cats in high regard.
Yeah.
So the Egyptians quickly surrendered to the Persians. Even though the exact number of troops for each side is unknown, casualty losses were estimated by Greek historian Herodotus to be 50,000 Egyptians to 7,000 Persians, and the bones could be seen in the sand for months.
Wow.
Through the ages, cats would find their way onto battle and merchant ships, still as a cheap and effective way to control rodents. Rats and mice could easily chew through ropes and wires on more modern ships, contaminate food supplies, be the ship's mascot, but also offer some companionship on the high seas. I couldn't find any more information on if cats are still used on ships in modern times, but the British Navy allowed cats to be on ships until they were banned in 1975 on the grounds of hygiene.
Okay.
Sailors believe that polydactyl cats were best suited for being a ship cat, where they are having that extra digit on their murder mittens to give them better balance at sea.
Murder mittens.
Even though the Egyptians worshipped cats as deities, sailors even had their own superstition about ship cats. Black cats tend to have a bad reputation. Sometimes the wives of sailors would keep a black cat at home as well in hopes to help influence the power of the ship's cat. As most believe the ship cat had the power to protect them from the dangerous weathers that they would face on their voyages. It was a sign of good luck if a cat approached you on deck, but unlucky if that cat turned around halfway and retreated. So basically, a cat being a cat was bad luck.
Well, dang. And even worse if you're a black cat.
Yeah. Sailors believe that cats could start storms from the magic story they held stored in their tails.
They have magic in their tails?
Yep.
Oh.
If a cat would ever to fall or be thrown overboard, it would use its magic to summon a storm to sink the ship. But if the ship survived the storm, it would be cursed for 9 years.
Of course, 9 years.
When I was typing this out, I knew you were going to say that.
Did you? Am I that predictable?
No, I just know that's what you were going to say. These sailors would also look to their ship's cat to predict the weather from the 1700s all the way until the 20th century. If the ship cat were to look against the grain of its fur, it meant that hail was coming. If the ship cat would sneeze, it would mean that it was going to rain. And if they were feeling frisky or playful, it meant that there was going to be strong winds coming. And even before setting sail, if they happened to observe the cat acting unusual, jumping ship like that, being on board the ship, or pawing at a sailor's face, or carrying its kittens off the ship, they took this as a warning and planned accordingly, or maybe not even sail at all.
Yeah.
Even, it's like they all came in to hear the story about the cats.
I know this one. Hang on. Give me a second. Is particularly happy that you're saying this story. Ew.
So gross. Even though these were seen as superstitions, but cats can actually detect changes in low atmospheric pressure in their inner ears. With their heightened sense of hearing and smell over humans, they can hear thunder well before we can.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
If you were to observe a cat repeatedly wiping its paws over its face, this could be a good indication that a storm is coming due to low atmospheric pressure and changes in electromagnetic waves causing them discomfort. Throughout history, there are many notable ship cats, and I know you are probably curious to hear about some of these cats and their stories, so I'll be giving you the cat's name first and a small tidbit of each one. I don't have very many.
Okay.
Because there wasn't a whole lot of them with any kind of an interesting story. It was like, oh, this is this cat, and they served on this ship, blah, blah, blah. So, Camouflage was aboard a Coast Guard tank landing ship, which is literally exactly what it sounds like. It's a landing ship for fucking tanks.
Okay.
In the Pacific theater of World War II, and would be known for chasing enemy tracer rounds across the deck of the ship.
Okay.
So, I find that kind of hard to believe that there's a cat on a deck of a ship that's being fired upon chasing tracer rounds and not getting hit.
Maybe they hit the deck and he retrieved them.
I don't know, but okay, so it happened, I guess. I'm not going to argue with World War II soldiers.
Yeah.
Convoy aboard the HMS Hermione was listed in the ship's book and provided with a full kit, including a hammock where he slept. Unfortunately, Convoy would be killed on June 16th, 1942, by a German U-boat, along with 87 of his crewmates. As sad as this is, I chose Convoy for a very well-known photograph that I'm going to include in our posts.
There's actually a picture of Convoy?
Mm-hmm.
Aw. Is it him laying in his hammock?
Yes, it is.
Aw. Okay.
Tiddles, Tiddles.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I picked this one just because of its name alone. Would be stationed on 2 Royal Navy aircraft carriers, first born on the HMS Argus and later joined the crew of the HMS Victorious. Tiddles would often be seen sitting on the aft or rear capstan playing with the bell rope. Tiddles would rack up 30,000 miles during his service as a ship cat.
Aw.
Thomas Oscar, aboard the HMS Scorpion, like Convoy, would have his own kit and hammock, and would also apply for membership to the Allied Forces Mascot Club with his own paw mark on the application.
His own paw mark. It's so cute. Okay.
Thomas Oscar would also be aboard the Scorpion during the Beachhead Offensive of D-Day.
Okay.
So that cat's seen some shit.
I'm sure.
Rinda would be named after the ship that they were on and be torpedoed and sunk during World War II. The surviving crew realized Rinda couldn't be found on any of the lifeboats, so these men rowed through the night looking for Rinda until they heard a pitiful meow in the distance. And an unknown sailor would go on to say, "We rowed as hard as we could and laughed and cried when we lifted that sopping wet fur ball aboard."
Aw.
So, I mean, even though people would see it as a cat, they saw these cats as part of their crew. You know, even though most people would say, oh, it's just a cat. Well, for these guys, that's not the case. I mean, they were literally part of their crew for most of the British ships because they would be on the ship's roster for the most part.
I'm sure they brought a lot of, like, just morale to the
sure.
ships.
I mean, there's a lot of pictures of out there with, like, in briefing rooms of pilots playing with the ship's cat and just smiling from ear to ear. And there's like so many pictures of ship cats out there.
That's cool. It's never really anything I heard of.
And I've never seen one person sad in a picture with a ship cat.
Well, who can be sad in a picture with a cat?
I don't know. And for this final cat, even though he is more of a legend of all the ship cats, but it's still worth mentioning, so I'm going to share this as best as I can with piecing it from all the sources that I could.
Okay.
Oscar, or he might even better known as the Unsinkable Sam, would survive not 1, but 3 ship sinkings. Even though his original name isn't known, as the tale says, he was brought aboard the HMS Cossack after being found on a floating board from the German battleship the Bismarck that was sunk on May 18th, 1941. He was given the name Bismarck, but the crew of the Cossack later named their new mascot Oscar.
Okay.
After serving for the next few months on the Cossack on convoy duties in the Mediterranean and North Atlantic Ocean, on October 24th of the same year, the HMS Cossacks would be severely damaged by torpedo fire. The crew transferred to the HMS Legion and would attempt to tow the damaged Cossack back to Gibraltar. But the weather getting worse, which they would have known this was coming if they would have paid attention to Oscar or the ship cat of the Legion, would make this task pretty much impossible. So 3 days later, the Cossack would sink west of Gibraltar, killing 159 of its crew in an explosion, and Oscar would survive this.
Damn.
Now, after surviving 2 of the ships sinking, Oscar would become now known as Unsinkable Sam, and then he would pad his way onto the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal, which was a key role in sinking the Bismarck earlier that same year. November 14th, 1941, the Ark Royal would also be torpedoed by German U-boats on a return trip from Malta. Attempts were made to save the Ark Royal, but the rate it was taking on water made this a futile task, and it would soon be abandoned as it started to roll over onto its side. Sam would be found clinging to a plank among the survivors and described as angry but quite unharmed. Oscar and his crewmates would transfer to HMS Lightning after they were rescued, and after the sinking of the Ark Royal, this would be the end of Oscar's military career, and he was transferred to the offices of the Governor of Gibraltar and then sent back to the UK to live out his days at a home for sailors in Belfast until he passed in 1955.
Aww.
Even though the tale of Unsinkable Sam may be debunked, I would like to think that maybe, just maybe, he was real due to the size of some of these ships, and not everyone may or may not have seen the ship cat.
Yeah. He's real. He can be real.
Yeah. Well, because some of the sources, they showed him, like, one of the better known pictures of supposed to be Oscar is like a tiger stripe cat. And then one sailor did a pastel painting of what Oscar is supposed to be, and he's a tuxedo cat. Oh. So, and then surviving crew members of the Bismarck have also said that they don't recall ever seeing a cat aboard the Bismarck.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there never was.
Cats do like to hide too, you know?
Right. Like one of these cats that I didn't include, when they would call for action, that cat would actually go run to the galley and hide behind the flower bins basically until everything was over. So that was like that cat's battle station for the most part.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of these cats, it was a lot of, they were part of the ship's crew, had their own kit, hammock and stuff.
Aww.
And there was one cat that actually earned 3 service ribbons, if I remember correctly.
Aw.
But,
little hero kitties.
yeah. But that's just some military-related stuff with cats. I mean, like I said in the beginning of this super short episode, that there's lots more. Like, there's the time the CAA turned the cat into a spy device. And there was the cat bomb idea that never took off, thankfully.
Cat. Look. Like strapping them with a bomb and setting them in?
Yeah, literally making a cat bomb.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Nope.
No, thank you.
The project was scrapped even before it even got started.
Okay,
so.
good. Because no.
I mean, the military has always tried to use animals in some capacity.
Yeah.
Like, there was the Camel Corps at one point, and then...
Camel Corps?
Yep. Then I guess I might have to do that this month now.
Oh, my God.
And then Sweden, and then I want to say there was the Germans also tried to do a Moose Corps as well.
As long as you talk about toes and knuckles in both of them. Yup.
I don't know how I could possibly even weasel in the term moose knuckle into that.
He got stomped by a moose knuckle.
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's just, like, with me making this decision to do stuff this month, military related because of Memorial Day.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff out there. Like, even though the Attack of the Dead Men, that's an interesting story from World War II, but...
I don't know what that is.
It's when...
if it's something you plan on doing in the future, don't tell me.
I don't know if I would do it in November for Veterans Day, basically, do this, or in July for Independence Day. I don't know. But I think it's time we close the Emporium up for the day, Sarah.
I agree.
So until next time.
Remember to creep it real.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Please check out our website at macabreemporiumpodcast.com. Join our Facebook group by searching Macabre Emporium. Like and subscribe on YouTube at Macabre Emporium Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Macabre Emporium. And if you have any stories of the paranormal, your local true crime, or weird history that you would want us to look into and possibly do an episode on, email us at macabreemporiumpod@gmail.com. Remember to follow, rate, like, review, and share whenever and wherever you can and help us grow our little baby podcast. According to court records, Scully had been committed to a menstrual I'm starting that sentence over.
A menstrual institution.
So actually take it out of this one.